Hello, class. Dr. Danju here again. Welcome to our Explore More Exam 2 Tricks and Tips video. Remember, we are not trying to have you guys memorize 400 plus formulas. This is not that class. In business statistics, what we want you to do is to have systems in place that can replicate successful results every single time. So, our question to you is this: do you have your system set up from the homework assignment that will actually be used in the exam to produce successful results every single time? Well, I'm glad you're asking because we're going to test it out today. Today, we're going to do a quick review of chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we're going to set up our Excel template. And then we're going to test our Excel template. Are you ready for this? Once again, my head is going to be on a swivel, so bear with me as I go through this. But let's dig in and ultimately set up a system that can produce successful results over and over again. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you all. All right, and you can go into your classroom. If you can, please go into your Trello board. In the description below is where you'll find the Trello board link. All right, so I have it up here, right here. So if you would see, we're under exam 2 notes. All right. And once this video is complete, it will be up here under exam 2 study guide. All right. But if you were to click in here, there's an older video in there. There's 3 new problems that we have. So you may not see those 3 in there. All right. So if you were to grab this PowerPoint, please download the PowerPoint. And once again, we'll do a quick review and then we'll get our Excel template set up. And then what we'll do is we'll test it out to see if we can replicate successful results every single time. All right. So I'm going to enable it. All right. It so happened to show up on my second screen. So I'm going to put that over here. All right. I'm going to maximize this for right now. And like I said, what we're going to do is a quick review on chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. So what I'll do is I'll grab my laser. Here we go. Here we go. In chapters 5, we talked about discrete probability distribution. Please be reminded that with discrete, it is an exact, precise number. Can we find the probability that 0 things are going to happen? Can we find the probability that 4 things are going to happen? It is exact and precise. Exactly at 4, exactly at 0, exactly at 10, exactly at 1,000,000. Can we find the probabilities at each exact point? Yes. All right. We can do these in several ways. Uniformly. These were all of our formulas uniformly right here. All right. How do you find the population's average? This EX, this U, this mu. All right. This is your population's average. Well, we're going to use Excel. All right. And right here, that is the sum product. Yeah, yeah. How do we actually calculate the variance? Well, first, we need to find the squared deviation from the mean. This is this part of the formula, and this is this part of the formula in Excel. We've showed you guys how to calculate the mean. We've showed you guys how to calculate the squared deviation from the mean. All right. Once you have this column and the probability columns, now you can calculate your variance. It is the sum product of these two columns right here. Last but not least, how do you calculate your standard deviation? It is the square root of your variance. Too easy, right? All right. Binomial distribution. Remember, we're dealing with some kind of success rate. For example, if I show up to the gym and I'm a baller, right? I can play basketball really good and knock down my threes. I am pretty good in the mindset of when I show up to the rec center, I can knock down my threes at 30%. All right. So y'all, that's horrible, man. That's good. All right. When you think of the elites, they're at maybe 40, 50%, right? So I'm just a regular Joe. All right. And if I could knock down 30%, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. All right. But that would be your success rate, 30%. Now, what is the probability at a specific number? What is the probability that I show up to the rec center tomorrow and I make 0 3-pointers if I know that my success rate is 30%? How do I find it at 0? How do I find it at 5? How do I find it at 10, right? I would use this manual formula right here. Well, who got time for that? No, no, no. We find the most effective, efficient way of doing our business. We're going to be using binomial that distribution function within Excel. We're going to find the X value, that's your first value. We're going to find the number of trials possible that I'm going to take. All right. We're going to find the success rate and it ends in false. So we can find the probabilities at each specific point. If we're dealing with some kind of time or space, all right, Poisson is what we'll use. The function within Excel is Poisson distribution. All right. So here was your manual formula. Yay. Some of you mathematicians would love this, but we're going to be using the function within Excel, Poisson distribution. All right, here's your X, here is your mean, and it ends in false, right? It always ends in false if you're looking at that exact specific point. All right. And then for hypergeometric, we're not going to actually be using this, but we wanted to show you what it actually looks like. And this is what it actually looks like. Once you have those 4 parameters, it ends in false. You can find it at each specific point. All right. Let's move on. Continuous probability distribution. Can we find the probabilities instead of at an exact point? Can we find these probabilities at a range of our points between two values? All right, here's a note to self. When we're dealing with continuous probability distribution, from the first point to the last point, the entire probability for the area under the curve is 100%. All of this is 100%. So can we find the probabilities that this is going to be? Yes, we can. Can we find it normally if we were to have 2 points? We can find it there too. Can we find it exponentially? We can find it there too. All right. So just as a reminder, how do you find the probabilities up in here? It is the range of your smaller box, this box that is dark gray, all right, and the divided by the range of your bigger box, the lighter gray, all right? So just imagine this was at 2, this A intersected this x-axis at 2, 4, 6, and 10 at this B value right here. How would you calculate the probabilities up in here, up in here? It is the range of the small box. This is the formula right here. X2, let's say that was 6, minus 4. That will give you this part of the formula divided by the bigger box, 10 minus 2. It is the range of the small box divided by the range of the bigger box, and that's how you will find the probabilities up in here. All right. Now, how do you find it if it's normally distributed? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff right there. Between 2 points. First, we got to do X, convert it to a Z, then find the probability. X to Z to probability. All right. But in Excel, we found an easier way of doing it. We can go from our X value to our probability by using the function normal that distribution. Yeah, yeah. So whatever value shows up right there shows up first. Then we need the mean, bam. Then we need the standard deviation, bam. And now it ends in true. Why? Because it's not exact and precise. It is a range of our data. Keep that in mind. All right. Now, if you're going between two numbers, you must do the larger number first, the 40,000. Do you see it? Do you see it? Minus the 20,000 right here. All right. And that's how you find the probabilities between 2 points. Now, if the probability is greater than or equal to 40,000, you must do 1 minus. And that's why in the formula you see 1 minus. All right. Now, we can also go from X to probability using the normal distribution, or we can go from Z to probability. All right. So instead of going back in my day, we will go X to Z to probability, do the calculations, and then go to this table right here and then find a, hey, that's a lot of stuff. You guys can go from your Z to your probability or your X to your probability. They follow the same format. If you're going to the left, you use the normal.s.distribution function. If you're going in between two numbers, you must do the larger one first minus the smaller one second. And if you're going to the right, greater than, it must be 1 minus. Too easy? All right. Same concept for exponential. All right. Only difference is you're using the expon function within Excel. All right. Good, good, good. Chapter 7. Can we use a sample to understand our data? Of course we can. All right. But we got to keep this thing simple. When we're calculating probabilities, all right, especially from a sample, it is a two-step process. First, we find our standard error. Then we find our probability. So whether we're dealing with X values or whether we're dealing with proportion values, find your standard error, find your probability. Yeah. All right. Now, if we're dealing with it from chapters 8, confidence level, can we find the actual X values if we know our probabilities? Can we inverse it? Can we go the other way? Yes, we can. All right, so just as a reminder, all right, let's say for the most part, we're dealing with a 95% confidence level. In business statistics, that is the standard, 95%. All right, we should know in our mind's eye that at 95%, the z-score value, the standardized value at 95% is 1.960. All right. So once we know the confidence level, once we know the z value, then can we find the x value? Yep, we can. But for the most part, we're going to be using 90%, 95%, and 99%. All right, good. And these are the z values. These do not change. They're always consistent. This is why you want to convert it into a standardized value. All right. So let's say the shaded area, I'm going to bring this in like that. Zoom it in like, we do. Anyways, let's say the shaded area is 95% or represents 95% of our data. Can we find the lower limit tip? Can we find the upper limit tip? Yes, we can. All right. We're going to show you how to make these calculations. All right. But please be reminded that the outer tips are your alpha values. Those are the zones, the rejection zones, the outer tips, the stuff that is basically the outliers, if that makes any sense to you. All right. So now that we have that, I'm going to zoom that in. Let me show you. If we know our standard deviation and we want to find the lower and upper tips of this confidence interval, here is the formula. And right in here, you'll see two formulas in one, plus or minus. The plus represents the upper tip. The minus represents the lower tip. Yeah. Upper, lower, minus, or plus, minus. All right. But here's the manual formula. How do we do this in Excel, man? All right. Oh, here's the unknown. If we don't know our population standard deviation, but we know our sample standard deviation, we will use this formula right here, two formulas in one. All right. But here goes our formulas. All right. The mean plus or minus confidence.norm the alpha value, the standard deviation, and the sample size. All right, good, 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 good. But for proportions, two formulas in one again. All right, we'll show you guys how to do this in Excel. All right, but here's the wrap up. For the unknown, all right, if we do not know, if we're trying to find, let's start off with the known. If we're trying to find the sample size is your n value right here. How do we calculate the sample size? If we know our standard deviation, this is the formula we would use, but we must always round up. If for some reason this answer works out to be, let's say, for example, 12.000012, because it has 00012 in it, we must round up to the next whole number to encapsulate all possible n values. So for mathematicians, this might be a struggle for you because you're so used to when you round up zero point 0.5 or greater, all right? But when we're dealing with sample sizes in business statistics and we need to round up, any decimal places that is shown or given, that value must be rounded up to the next whole number in order to encapsulate all possible sample sizes. Yeah. So just note that to self. All right. If you don't know your population standard deviation, we'll use this formula right here, but please be reminded to always round up. All right. So now with that said, we are actually ready to get into setting up our exam. All right, so I'm going to escape out of this. All right, let me hide this again. All right, can you please open up a blank new Excel document? All right, so just go into yours and give me a second. I'm going to grab my Excel. All right. I'm going to open up a blank new Excel. All right, maximize this. Once you've opened up a blank new Excel, please save it, File, Save As. We're going to do Browse. And I'm going to put this into my BUS352 folder. All right. And for this one, I'm going to be calling this, I've already created it right here. All right. I'm going to click it. On your end, please make sure that you set this up to Exam 2 Excel template. BUS352 Exam 2 Excel template. All right. I think on mine, I am gonna, let me think about this. All right, I'm just gonna put an extra 1 in there. All right, so as to save this template because I need that for something else. All right, I'm gonna press 1. All right, save that. Perfect. I have my blank new Excel template ready to go. All right. All right, so let's get this going. If you would, please find your Chapters 5 Excel's template. All right, so I don't know where you have yours saved, but if you go to your BUS352 folder, all you're doing is looking for your Chapters 5. All right, so I see my Chapters 5 right here. Double click, open it up. Perfect. So I'm just gonna slide this out the way. It won't allow me to slide that out the way. All right, but I'm going to move this over so I can see all my Excel files that I need. All right, on this one, we're going to be moving 3 from Chapters 5. So if you would, please um, go to your PowerPoint. All right, we're going to be moving 5.16, 5.32, and 5.44. All right. 16, 32, 44. Pretty good. All right, so I'm going to open back up my Chapters 5. 16, hold down your Control key or your Command key. All right, 32 and 44. 16, 32, and 44. Right-click on it, move or copy, find the exam template, move it to the end, and create a copy, please. Please make sure that you're following these steps. Press OK once you're all done. Splacker. They are automatically into your exam twos template. All right, good. Please close out chapters 5. Okay, so here's my chapters 5. Close it out. Great. Open back up your folder and please grab chapter 6. All right, here's my chapter 6. I'm gonna move that over just a tad bit so I can see them all. Great. In chapter 6, we are looking to grab 2 of them, 6.12 and 6.25. 6.12 and 6.25. All right, so let's see how we're gonna do this. 12 and 25. All right. So click on 6.12 and hold down your control key or command key, 6.25. Right click, move or copy, find the exam template, move it to the end and create a copy, please. All right, so try that on your end and press OK. Splack. It moves everything from your homework and copies it and pastes it into your exams template. Good work, good work. All right, please close out chapter 6 and open up chapter 7, please. All right, here's my chapter 7. All right, I'll move that over just a tad bit. Good. In chapter 7, we are looking to move 2 of them. All right, we're looking to move 7.18 and 7.29. 7.18 and 7.29. All right, so give me a second here. I'm just going to make this just a tad bit smaller so I could see them all in a nice, neat format. Good. 7.29, I got that there. All right, so what was it? 18 and 29. 18 and 29, minimize. Select 18, hold down your control key, your command key, 29, right-click on 18, move or copy. All right, once again, find the exam template, move it to the end, create a copy, and press OK. All right, please close out chapter 7. All right, and please open up chapters 8. So find your chapters 8, open it up. All right, here's my chapters 8. In chapters 8, we are looking to, give me a second, I don't need that. All right, let me close that out. Perfect. All right. In chapters 8, let's see how many questions we're looking for. 3 of them, I believe. Yep. 3, 17, 38. 3, 17, and 38. All right, I'll minimize that. 3, hold down your control key, command key, 17 and 38. So right click, move or copy, find the exam template, scroll down, move it to the end, and create a copy, please. Press OK. All right, you should have all of that. All right, so now go back to your chapters 8, close out chapters 8, please. All right, so we should have, let me make sure, 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. Please delete sheet 1. Right-click, delete. Please be reminded, if you delete, it's gone for gone. You can't get it back. All right, so I'm going to delete mine. It's permanently deleted. All right. All right. So now that we have this, we can actually test this out to see if our templates are good or not. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my PowerPoint, go back up to chapters 5. All right. Let me maximize this. All right. Give me back my laser. And we're going to go through this. In chapters 5, if you did this right, you should have already did your mean, your square deviation from the mean, your variance, and your standard deviation. All you would need to do is update your numbers. If your system is already right, if you already put in the work, you should be good to go. All right. So on these are my values. So I'm going to grab my Excel. Let me pull it up for you guys. All right, here it is. Let me minimize it just a tad bit. All right. Please enter your Z values and your F of Z values, or it doesn't matter if you change these or not to Z, but whichever two values, whether it's X, whether it's Z, whether it's Y, please plug in as you see them, just your numbers. All right, so mine, oh, uh, give me a second. Let me hide that again. Let me undo that. All right, good. So it'd be this guy. All right. So my system was already set up. All right. Is yours actually set up? Some of you guys are like, no, mine is not actually set up. How did you actually get these answers? All right. So let me maximize this so you can see it. All right. The first step was to find the mean. What was my calculation for the mean? Here was your formula right here. Just grab it, paste it, and you should be good to go. All right. Now, how do you calculate the square deviation from the mean? Here's your formula up here. So you will copy this, paste it below, and remember, do you see the dollar dollar? You should be able to drag it down or double click on the far right. All right, let me kind of show you. So on this one, if I double click, do you see how it says $C, $7? And that's how you know that you can be able to drag that formula down. All right, as soon as you see dollar dollar. Where do you click on? On the bottom right of the cell. Let me click on it so you can see there's an extra dot on the bottom right. You click and then you drag. Yeah, yeah. All right. Then you can calculate your variance. Here is your formula. Then you can calculate your standard deviation. Here is your formula. Copy it, paste it to the right, and you should be good to go. All right. Let's move on to 5.32, please. All right. So if you did it right, you should have those answers. Please make sure that your decimal places are set correctly as well. All right. 5.32. In this example, we're going to be using 15 and 0.3. Do you see 15 and 0.3? Great. So in your Excel, you're typing in 15 and 0.3. Yep. All right. In here, let me maximize this so you guys can see this. All right. It's going to go all the way down. These are your probabilities at each specific point, all the way to 15. But then something you guys are going to notice is after 15 is going to say hashtag num. It means there is no number after 15. So how can we get the probability after a number that does not exist within our data set? All right. It is confused. It's like, I can't do that. All right. So on the exam, if you see hashtag num, please know there's no number existing. There's no probabilities existing at that point or after. All right. So then The first one is, I'm gonna put this in here. What is your function at 0? When you hear the function, it should put in your brain, what is that exact value? What is the probability at that exact value? All right. So if these are all your probabilities, what is the probability inside the parentheses tells you what you're looking at. What is the function at 0? So at 0, it is this number right here. Please make sure that your Excel is set up correctly. So for mine, yes, it is set up correctly. This first number is my function at 0. All right, this is where it gets tricky between B, C, and D. Please make sure that you get yours set up correctly and right. All right, and understand the concept behind it. All right, so then it goes on to say, let me see what the example says. What is your probability or what is the function at 3? Yeah. So here is my function at 3. All right. So in Excel, I'm going to go down. I'm going to change this to a 3. All right. What is the probability at 3? All right. In here, this one was at 6. I'm going to highlight this. It should be equals to this. Hopefully you're seeing this. Hopefully you're able to get this right. All right. Whatever number they provide you within that parentheses, you need to go to that number, and to the right of it, that is the probability or the function at that specific point. All right. So with that said, let's go to the next one. What is the probability of your x less than or equal to 1? In other words, at 1 or less, when you add all of those probabilities up, what do they equal? All right. So I'm going to go back to my Excel. In my case, it is less than or equal to 1. Yeah. So in this formula right here, I'm going to double click in here. All you're thinking about is 1 and less. So I will click on 1 and less. Yeah. If it had said 4 or less, you will click on 4 and less. Yeah, and up and smaller numbers. Add up all those probabilities up top. All right. But because mine says 1 and less, all right, less than or equal to 1, I will select it just like that. Press enter. It should be 0.0353. All right. And then this one, x is greater than or equals to 3. So you got to go 3 and greater. All right. So in mine, I would do this guy, double click in here. I will go from 3. And please stop at your last number. This one, your head needs to be on the swivel. Some of you guys are going to get this wrong simply because you don't know where to stop. You got to stop at that last number. Now, where it says hashtag num, you got to stop at the last number. All right, so I'm going to press enter. It should be 0.87. Yes, sir. All right, and then the remaining of these should be automatically set for you. So if I go back to my Excel, we have 4.5, 3.15, 1.77. Yeah. All right. 5.44. All right. Let's change our mean to 6. So 5.44. I'll change my mean to 6. All right. Which answer is correct? It is based on the formula right here. So where you see that you will see 6 in my case. What does yours say? All right. So once you have that, everything else should be automatically populated for you correctly. Let's see. All right, let me look at mine. Let's make sure 2, 1, greater than 2. Yes, yes, and more yes. All right. So if you did it right, it's going to hook you up. All right. So that is chapters 5. Let's go into chapter 6. All right. Let's go to 6.12. 6.12. All right. I'm going to drag this down just a tad bit. All right. The goal is to enter all of these z values. Inside of the probability are your z values. In your mind's eye, the left one should be z1, the right one should be z2. Z2 is always your bigger number for the most part. All right. So what I'm going to do is go through and put in the numbers as I see them. All right. And automatically my probability should update. All right. Good, good, good. Let me scroll down. Bam. Number 3. Hold on, hold on. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. All right. 0.51. All right. 4 is 0.97. 5, 2.17. And then 6, negative 0.87. All right. So if you done did it right, these should be your answers. So let me grab back my Excel just to make sure. All right, 1.4, 6, 30, 1.60, good. And then my last two should be 98, yep, and 19, perfect. So I know my Excel is right. All right, let's go to 6.25, please. All right, so you got this information right here. Can you plug in your mean? Can you plug in your standard deviation? And can you check your systems to see if it's good? All right, good, good, good. So your mean, all right. And then this first one, we're going to put in 50,000. All right. So let's go to 6.25. Good. Let me plug in my mean. Let me plug in my standard deviation. All right. And yes, I'm going to be doing 50,000, 30,000, and then 60 to 80,000 and all of that. All right. So let's put in 5,000 or 50,000. Good. Next one is 30,000. Good. Next one, 30 to 60. Good. And then 0.99. Outstanding. So those should be your answers right in there. If you did it right, you should get those. And my last one is 44. Outstanding. All right. So far, so good. That is chapter 6. Let's go to chapters 7. All right. So this is, let's go to 7.18. All right. We're going to put in the sample size. We're going to put in the standard deviation and get to work. All right. If you did it right, it should automatically update your standard error. I will make this green simply because this is not something that you need to change. This is not something that you need to enter. Actually, give me a second. Let me see. Are they looking for the standard error? Yep, okay, never mind. So whatever yellow shows up here, all right, you should be right. 1.44. Let me look. Yep, yep, yep. All right, please note that these two are going to be very similar. They might be identical. On the exam, please do not panic. Some of you guys see stuff that are identical and be like, oh man, I did this wrong. On this problem, these three might be exactly the same. Just note that to self. All right, good. So I see that, I see that, I see that, and then 36 in the last end. Let me see. Okay. In our case, instead of 50,000, we're going to put 40,000, then 4,000, and then 400. All right. So instead of 50,000, 40,000, 4,000, 400. All right, perfect. My numbers look good. All right, that means your system is good. All right, let's go to 7.29, 7.29. All right, on this one, we're dealing with proportions. Please plug in your proportion value. All right, so plug in your proportion, plug in your sample size, plug in your within. Your within is going to show up in parts, I believe, question either A or B, one of those. It provides you the within value. So I'm going to go back to my Excel. All right, I'm going to plug in these numbers as I see them. Once again, all we're doing is testing our system out. Is it working right? All right, good, good, good. This first answer should be 0.546. Looky. Look, we did it right. All right, let's go to the second one. The within for the second one is 0.08. So we're going to change this guy to 0.08. Do we have, hey, look, you see what I'm saying? So when you do it right, it does you right. Yeah, I know that's bad, but it is what it is. All right, let's go to chapters 8 and wrap this up. All right, we're going to have a sample size of 15, all right, a mean value of 92, and a standard deviation of this. So let's go to 8.03. All right, so I'm going to plug in my mean, 92, my standard deviation, 17, my sample size, 15, my confidence level is 95%. Leave that, that's standard. All right, don't mess with that. All right, so now that we have that, I should have 83.4, 100 and 100.6. And once again, these first two should be one decimal place. If I done did it, look. Second one, all right, you see 95% confidence. Second one, the sample size is 144. All right. Then they want two decimal places for these, and it should say smaller at the end. All right. So we did 144. Bam, bam. Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Two decimal places, and it says smaller. Yeah. So test your system out. Make sure that it's working accurately, effectively. I'm right. All right. Let's go to 8.17. This one was a hard one because we had to transpose the data. Well, we found the easier way to do this. So hopefully we can help you guys do it the easier way and keep this thing rolling. All right. So in here, they provide you the data. You're going to have to enter the data as you see them. All right. So for me, what would be easier would be going column at a time. All right. Or you can go row at a time, depending on your skill set. All right. I'm just going to slide this over so I could see all of my data. Perfect. All right. You know what? I'm gonna do a row at a time instead of a column. That might take me too long. All right. So I'm gonna type in my numbers. Please type in your numbers as you see them, just like I have here. All right. I'll go to my second row. And some of you guys are like, how you moving to the right? Tab. Use the tab button to move to the right. All right. The hardest part about this one is just entering your data correctly. So you got to take your time. All right. You should be able to copy and paste it from Cengage, but get used to manually typing it in because in real life, in many cases, you don't have all the easy ways to do it. You're going to have to do the grunt work and do it manually. Yeah. All right. And the last one. All right. I did all of that and bam, here's my answers. Why did these answers work? If you double click, I did the average of all of it. Even though these are empty, it did not pick it up as zero. So that's the way we found out how to do it in a faster, more efficient way. If you don't put anything in the cells, it doesn't count those cells against you. All right. So we did that for the average. Oh, all right. Let me undo that. Good. We did that for the standard deviation, and we did that for the count. All right, so these should be your two answers right here. All right. You could have also done it the descriptive statistic way. All right. But we're not going to actually take time to show you how to do that. If you go back into chapters 8, you'll be able to see how to do the descriptive statistics if you choose to do it that way. All right. But what we're suggesting is just keep this thing simple. Use the average formula, the standard deviation, and the count. All right. Good work. Last but not least, please make sure that this answer is documented and ratified within your Excel. All right. It should be that one right there, or in this case, bluified. So I'm going to check my Excel just to make sure. Some of you guys are going to be like, oh, I can remember that on the exam. Stop the madness. This is not that. We don't want you to memorize anything. We want you to document everything. Yeah, yeah. All right. So you see my answer. This is ratified. So I know that my Excel template is actually good to go. All right, so that is the exam review. Hopefully, you see that this is not about stressing you out about formulas and getting all this stuff right. It is having systems in place to help you make informed decisions in a much effective, more efficient way possible, in the most effective, efficient way possible. Use your Excel templates. Set up your systems the way you need to set it up on the back end. So when you get ready to present it to your customers, when you're ready to present it to your clients or whomever you may be presenting this information to, it is all ready to go. There's no guesswork in this. It is all set up for success. Set yourself up for success. Your goal is to get 100% on this exam. Take your time, go back, review. You can actually go back into Cengage, redo some of those same exact problems. They will provide you different numbers. See if you can understand those numbers, plug them in correctly, and get the right results. You got this. We believe in you. Thanks so much for hanging out. Have a great day. Bye.